California, the state that sells itself as paradise on earth, golden beaches, palm-lined streets, and the glimmer of Silicon Valley's billionaires. But here's the contradiction that keeps shocking the nation. This so-called paradise is now America's #1 place people are desperate to leave. According to moving company data, Los Angeles ranks first in the entire country for outbound migration, and San Francisco proudly takes second place. That's like winning gold and silver medals in a race no one actually wanted to run. How does the world's 5th largest economy, a place richer than most countries, become the poster child for exodus? Start with the basics. A median home price flirting with $800,000, rents so outrageous they make New York blush, and utility bills that read like luxury subscriptions you never signed up for. Add a homelessness crisis visible on every block, wildfires that torch entire neighborhoods, and taxes that drain paychecks faster than a Vegas slot machine. And here's the kicker. This isn't just about economics. It's about dignity, frustration, and politics. Californians are not only tired of paying more, they're tired of feeling like they get less in return. Imagine working 2 jobs just to rent a studio apartment smaller than your cousin's garage in Texas. Imagine paying $3,000 a month while your neighbor in Nevada pays half that to own a full-sized home. California is both dream and nightmare, glitter and ashes, iPhone and low battery warning. And tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on 9 brutal reasons why more and more residents are trading in paradise for something far less glamorous but far more livable. So how do we make sense of California's mass exit without drowning in spreadsheets and policy jargon? Simple. We're going to break it down into 9 sharp, unforgettable reasons. Each one is like a layer of California's golden onion. The deeper you peel, the more it burns your eyes and your wallet. We'll balance the cold, hard numbers with real-life absurdities. Think $500 power bills for a modest 2-bedroom. Think $20 avocado toast served next to a homeless encampment. Think families with $80,000 incomes who still can't afford a decent place to live. These aren't headlines, they're everyday California. And here's the promise. By the end, you won't just know why people are leaving, you'll feel it. You'll picture yourself in their shoes, making the same impossible choice, stay in the sun and struggle, or pack a U-Haul and breathe again. Work and family, the polite excuses hiding bigger truths. Let's start with the softer reasons people usually give when they leave California: work and family. On the surface, it sounds ordinary. Someone got a job offer in Nevada, or they want to be closer to parents in Arizona. But dig deeper, and these explanations often act as a polite mask for a harsher reality. The Public Policy Institute of California, PPIC, has noted that while employment and family ties remain among the top reasons cited for moving, housing costs are quickly overtaking them. Translation? A better job in Texas isn't just attractive for career growth, it's a way out of a $3,000 a month studio apartment in Los Angeles. A family relocation to Arizona isn't just about Sunday dinners, it's about doubling your square footage without doubling your mortgage. Here's a scenario. Imagine you're making $85,000 in Los Angeles, but rent eats 60% of your paycheck. Then Phoenix calls with the same salary and a backyard thrown in. Would you stay loyal to the California sunshine or choose sanity over surfboards? The irony? Californians rarely say, "I can't afford it anymore." Instead, they say, "I'm moving for family." It's like breaking up with someone by claiming, "It's not you, it's me." But everyone knows the rent was the real deal breaker. Remote work broke California's spell. Here's the twist nobody saw coming. The same tech giants that turned California into a global powerhouse also gave residents the tools to leave it behind. Once the pandemic proved people could work from anywhere with Wi-Fi, the logic of paying California prices for California stress started to crumble. Picture this. A software engineer in San Jose making $140,000. In 2019, she was chained to a cubicle in Silicon Valley. In 2021, she was coding in sweatpants from a 3-bedroom house in Boise, bought for half the price of her old Bay Area condo. Remote work didn't just change commutes, it rewired life choices. Data shows this clearly. Outbound moves surged after 2020, especially from high-cost metro areas like Los Angeles and San Francisco. Families discovered they could keep California salaries while living like royalty in Arizona, Texas, or even Idaho. And the cherry on top? Many never looked back. It's a paradox that borders on comedy. California's claim to fame is innovation, Zoom, Slack, cloud computing, all invented or perfected here. And yet those very inventions opened the escape hatch for its own residents. That's like building the world's most beautiful cruise ship and then realizing you accidentally designed lifeboats that look even better. So now the question isn't just, where do you want to work? It's, why pay for California when California no longer needs you in person? The great cost of living arbitrage. Now we hit the financial heart of the exodus. Economists call it arbitrage. Californians call it common sense. Why pay $800,000 for a modest home in Sacramento when a house twice the size in Texas costs $340,000 and comes with no state income tax? It's not just about buying property. Even renting is absurd. In Los Angeles, a one-bedroom averages nearly $3,000 a month. In Phoenix, that same budget gets you 2 bedrooms, a pool, and maybe even a garage big enough for your dreams. Throw in groceries that are 15% cheaper and gas that doesn't flirt with $6 a gallon, and suddenly the decision feels less like a gamble and more like a guaranteed win. Imagine you're earning $100,000 a year in California. Between rent, taxes, and daily expenses, you feel perpetually broke. Move to Nevada, and that same salary suddenly stretches mortgage paid, savings account alive, maybe even a vacation fund. It's not chasing the dream anymore. It's fleeing a nightmare. And here's the punchline. Moving companies report that renting a U-Haul truck out of California can cost nearly triple the price of driving one in. The market has spoken. Demand to escape paradise is so high. Even the getaway vehicles come with a California surcharge. So if the everyday math no longer adds up, what happens when even your utility bill starts looking like a second landlord? When your power bill feels like a luxury subscription, living in California doesn't just mean paying more for housing. Even keeping the lights on feels like a premium service. The average residential electricity rate in California hovers around 30 cents per kilowatt hour, nearly double the national average of 16 cents. That means a typical 2-bedroom household can easily rack up $400, $500 a month just to keep the fridge cold and the AC running. And here's where it gets absurd. California loves to brand itself as the green energy leader of the world. Solar panels, wind farms, Teslas on every corner. But behind the glossy brochures lies a painful reality. The cost of maintaining an aging grid, wildfire-related liabilities, and aggressive climate policies get passed directly onto residents. Families on tight budgets end up choosing between running the air conditioner or saving money for groceries. Picture this scenario. You're making $70,000 a year, already gasping under rent. Then summer hits, and your electricity bill spikes to $500. Meanwhile, your cousin in Nevada posts online that her bill is $130 for the same square footage. At that point, sunshine feels less like a blessing and more like a tax. The cruel irony? California pushes electric vehicles as the future, but many residents quietly wonder, if I can barely afford to power my apartment, how am I supposed to charge a car? And if the power bill doesn't break you, the wildfire insurance crisis waiting around the corner just might. Wildfires and the insurance nightmare. California's summers are no longer about beaches and barbecues. They're about evacuation orders and smoke-filled skies. Wildfires have grown 5-fold in cost and devastation over the past 2 decades, torching billions of dollars in property every year. And while the flames eventually die out, the financial fallout lingers like smoke in your lungs. Insurance companies, tired of paying out astronomical claims, are bailing on California. Some refuse to renew policies in high-risk zones. Others hike premiums to levels that make you choke before the fire does. Imagine your homeowner's insurance jumping from $1,500 to $6,000 overnight. For many, it's not sustainable. They're forced onto the state's FAIR plan, a last resort policy that costs more but covers less. That's like being handed a fire extinguisher with no hose attached. Now put yourself in the shoes of a young family. You stretched every dollar to buy a small house in the foothills. It was supposed to be your piece of paradise. Instead, you're watching ash fall on your lawn while an insurance letter warns you that next year's coverage may not exist. At that point, should we move becomes less a question and more a survival plan. The saddest part? It's not just flames chasing people away, it's fear. Fear that the next spark will wipe out everything you've worked for. And when fear moves in, people move out. But even outside the fire zones, Californians are facing another crisis. They can't ignore the one sprawled across sidewalks and under freeway bridges. Homelessness. The crisis you can't unsee. Walk through downtown Los Angeles, San Francisco, or San Diego, and the story writes itself. Tent encampments stretching for blocks, sidewalks lined with makeshift shelters, and entire underpasses turned into shadow cities. California holds about 12% of the nation's population, but nearly 24% of America's homeless. That means 1 out of every 4 people without a home in the United States lives here. For residents paying $3,000 a month for a shoebox apartment, the contrast is jarring. Parents worry about their kids stepping around needles on the way to school. Small businesses complain about losing customers because tents block storefronts, and taxpayers ask the obvious, where are my dollars going if billions have been poured into solutions, yet the problem keeps growing? Here's a real scenario. Imagine you're renting a tiny 1-bedroom in San Francisco for $3,200. Just outside your window, an encampment grows week by week. You're paying luxury prices for a view that feels like a crisis documentary. At some point, you start thinking, if I'm spending this much, shouldn't I at least feel safe walking my own block? The tragedy isn't just the suffering of the unhoused, it's the collective burnout of those who stay. People don't just leave because of what they can't afford, they leave because they can't take the daily reminder of decline. And if the homelessness crisis hasn't worn you down, California still has plenty of ways to drain your wallet in the most ordinary parts of life. Death by 1,000 receipts. The everyday wallet squeeze. It's not just the big ticket items like housing or insurance. California finds ways to drain you in the small daily rituals of life. Groceries here run 15-20% higher than the national average. Gas prices? Perpetually the highest in the country, often hovering around $5 to $6 a gallon thanks to extra state taxes and environmental fees. Healthcare premiums and childcare costs follow the same pattern, inflated and exhausting. Imagine this. You earn $90,000 a year, a solid middle-class income on paper. Yet after rent, gas, groceries, and daycare, you're staring at a bank balance that makes you feel broke. A quick trip to Target that costs $80 in Arizona magically turns into $120 in California. Dinner for 4 at a mid-tier restaurant, easily a $100 check before tip. Daycare, that can rival a semester of college tuition. This isn't just inconvenience, it's slow erosion. Families feel like they're running a financial marathon every month, but never crossing the finish line. And after a while, it's not about whether you can survive, it's whether you want to live in survival mode forever. The cruel punchline? In other states, the same paycheck buys you breathing room. In California, it buys you stress. And when even your daily coffee run feels like a small heist, it's no wonder people start asking, isn't there somewhere I can just live normally? But normal doesn't just mean financial peace, it also means feeling politically at home, and that's where the next exodus driver comes in. Politics. Voting with your feet, California isn't just expensive, it's political. For decades, the state has been a stronghold of progressive policies, with Democrats dominating nearly every corner of governance. For some residents, that's exactly what they want. But for many, especially conservatives, it feels like living in a state where their voice has been permanently muted. The numbers tell the story. According to PPIC, 39% of people leaving California are registered Republicans, even though they make up only about a quarter of the state's electorate. Meanwhile, more than half of new arrivals are Democrats. Translation: California keeps getting bluer while its conservatives pack up for Texas, Idaho, or Florida. It isn't just about party labels, it's about culture. Conservative-leaning families often clash with California's approach to taxes, gun laws, climate policies, and even school curriculums. Over time, it creates a sense of alienation, a feeling of being out of step with the state's identity. For some, leaving isn't just about cheaper gas, it's about finding a community that feels like home. Picture this. You're a small business owner frustrated by endless regulations and 13% state income tax. You drive through your neighborhood, see campaign posters you can't relate to, and think, why am I fighting a losing battle here? Then you realize Texas will not only cut your taxes, but also greet you with neighbors who share your worldview. Suddenly, packing feels like liberation. And yet, politics is just one layer. For many, the breaking point comes in the form of a single, crushing reality. Housing so expensive, it has turned the American dream into a California punchline. The housing apocalypse. When the dream becomes the deal breaker. Here it is, the heavyweight champion of California's problems. Housing isn't just expensive here, it's practically unaffordable for anyone outside the tech, elite, or real estate lottery winners. The median home price sits around $800,000, nearly double the national average. In San Francisco, that number can skyrocket past $1.3 million. Renting offers no mercy. A one-bedroom in Los Angeles easily swallows $2,800 to $3,200 a month. This isn't about luxury living. We're talking tiny apartments, creaky bungalows, even converted garages going for prices that would buy full-sized houses in Nevada, Arizona, or Texas. Teachers, nurses, firefighters, the very people who keep communities alive can't afford to live in the neighborhoods they serve. Some endure soul-crushing commutes of 2 or 3 hours each way, just to cling to California paychecks while sleeping in faraway zip codes. Imagine earning $100,000 a year, what should feel comfortable anywhere else. In California, it leaves you strapped, with little chance of saving for a down payment. Meanwhile, your cousin in Austin brags about buying a 4-bedroom house with a yard for half what you pay in rent. That comparison stings worse than the rent check itself. The cruel irony? California once symbolized the American dream. Sunshine, opportunity, and a chance to own your piece of paradise. Today, for many, it's the place where that dream goes to die. And when the roof over your head feels like an impossible luxury, no amount of beaches or palm trees can convince you to stay. Step back, and the contradictions almost make your head spin. California is still the world's 5th largest economy, still home to Hollywood glamour and Silicon Valley wealth, still the place tourists dream of visiting. Yet for millions of its own residents, the daily reality feels like balancing on a tightrope, sunshine above, flames and bills below. The deeper truth behind the exodus isn't just about money. It's about the slow erosion of faith in the California dream. Generations grew up believing this was the land of opportunity, a place where hard work could buy you a home, security, and maybe even a little slice of paradise. But today, that dream is slipping out of reach for middle-class families. The numbers are brutal. Wages can't keep pace with rent, insurance, or food. Young professionals who once saw California as the ultimate destination now see it as the ultimate trap. And then there's the emotional toll. Reddit threads and TikTok stories are full of young Californians confessing they're exhausted, working 2 jobs, living with roommates into their 30s, or commuting hours each day just to cling to a fragile lifestyle. Some describe leaving as breaking up with someone you still love. They adore the beaches, the culture, the weather, but they can't survive the relationship anymore. That's the paradox. California is both paradise and purgatory. For those who can afford the entry fee, it's a playground. For everyone else, it's a treadmill that never stops. And that divide between the dreamers who can stay and the dreamers who must leave may be California's most defining story of all. So here's the riddle California leaves us with. How can one state be both a dream destination and a mass departure lounge at the same time? It's the postcard with golden beaches on the front and eviction notices on the back. For some, it's still worth every penny. For others, the math, the politics, and the stress scream louder than the ocean waves. Now it's your turn. If you earned $80,000 a year and rent ate up 60% of it, would you stay for the sunshine or move to Texas where you could own twice the space for half the price? Comment A for stay, B for go. And don't forget, like, subscribe, and share. Paradise or prison, what's California to you?